BBC Archives, Technology and Service, English Regions, News Digitisation. It's very common. For example, we are RTV in Spain. We are doing the same, is digitizing all materials from the regions department. So here we have Paul Bentz and Janne Nuotio, sorry, from BBC, to present the project. Thank you.
I always let Janne say his own name, so it's perfectly fine. Hi, I'm Paul. I'm going to cover the first bit, then we've got a video, then Janne will cover the next bit, and we've got another video to give you an idea of what we're doing. So, this project that we started was to address these key points: format obsolescence, the regional news team was brought into the main BBC archive, and building moves within the BBC. A lot of these regions were being put into newer buildings. And as I said earlier to somebody, everyone is now tapeless apart from all the tapes they have back in the day, you know, as you do. The News collection represents decades of capturing social history, political change, and the community identity across the UK. The collection comes from the 60s up until the 2010s. This collection is held on film or VT tape, not much digital stuff going on there, and they face the increasing risk of being lost on these formats. This presentation will hopefully walk through how we've done it and what we've been up to over the last couple of years. There was an archive, technology and services restructure, and within this restructure, we brought in the news regional teams and the sport library. This was in 2023. I'll stop saying in a minute. So at the time when they came in, we started an archive asset project to review these collections because we didn't know everything about them through various, again, office moves, the fact that they were held locally. We didn't have all the metadata, all the information on them. So this archive asset inventory project was there to kind of get a baseline and understand what was in these collections. After we did this project and we had the baseline, we knew kind of what was in these collections, what formats they were on, and what we could do with them. The plan was to use our in-house digitization because we felt it was the best way of doing it. Tobias said earlier that you will do 80% of the work and then they'll get to do the fun stuff. Because the metadata was lacking for a lot of these collections, we felt we were the best people to do this stuff. And with various projects ending and this asset inventory thing happening, we knew that we could do it. And the digitization capacity we had. Right, let me just quickly go through. Yeah. On this slide here, it gives you an idea of all the different collections that we've been looking at. So we've done the majority of the country, of the UK. Each collection was only really accessible to local journalists, and it was most likely a single copy master. And a lot of this stuff, because it wasn't part of the big national archive, was out of scope from bigger projects we were doing, i.e. the ones for BBC One, BBC Two. So it was a perfect time to address these collections, and with the growing of technology and with stuff that we knew that we could do, we believed, again, that we were the best ones to do it. Selection for digitization. Things that we considered for this project was format obsolescence, so the concept of items being held on legacy broadcast tapes, each with different handling, playback, and preservation requirements. Managing this scale introduced complexity at every stage, from planning and logistics through to digitization and quality assurance. Regional sites were housing large volumes of physical media, often in environments not ideal for physical media. We knew that there was lots of cultural importance in these collections. Regional teams were often the first on the scene, getting these stories and events before events became national news. Items contained within the regional collections were often unique first-hand accounts and were the earliest record of these events, and it was also a snapshot of regional accents and local themes. So that's why we started to do it. Okay. As you can see from the asset inventory project, there are 26,000 VT tapes and 15,000 film reels to digitize. Quite a lot to go through. And as I said, the storage in the regions was not always ideal. I was talking to Ivan about this. There was one store in Bristol which had a window and a heat pipe in the room where they held the film. Not the best. So with film, you have obviously vinegar syndrome, you have shrinkage, and you have physical damage from playing back on not machines that are kept up to code. And for VT tapes, you have a similar thing. Humidity is a big problem. Also, as I said, there were single copy masters, so they'll be played constantly, and this is going to wear out the tape. And then you are looking at tapes that are now over 20 years old. And we had a particular problem with DV cam tapes where the doors to the tapes would stick, and you have to kind of work through them. The other issue that we realized was the losing of machines, parts, and engineers. At the moment, in our department, we have one engineer who works part-time. So that kind of, and at the moment, they're not at work because they've had a knee operation. So no one's in to do it. But again, we realized that this was something that will cause more problems. If we didn't do anything now, what could we do later? So that was the big driving point of this project. If we paused and decided not to do anything, we would just lose this material. So yeah, that was that. Nice, go on. Planning and prepping. So, effective planning was really important and the foundation of the success of this digitization. By getting accurate metadata of the collection, understanding exactly how many items existed, which formats they were on, and where they were located, legacy records were often incomplete, inconsistent across the regions, and the work done during the asset inventory project was vital for this. As an example, we've done the Midlands Today collection, which so far we've done 6,000 items. About 200 of those are only on our archive systems. So there's a big gap there. We believe they did exist, but they have been lost over time. Either they're on paper records, and these paper records have just gone. So that's why the archive asset inventory project is really good. Establishing this baseline allowed the project to model digitization volumes and timelines with greater confidence. In parallel with agreement on the consistent metadata schema was crucial. Metadata is the link between the physical item, the digital file, and without this shared approach, there's a risk of losing context and editorial value during the transfer. Prioritization was another key activity, given scale of the collection and the resource. Not everything could be digitized at once. Items were assessed against the criteria: physical risk, head life, urgency, editorial significance, and potential for reuse. This prioritization ensured that the most vulnerable and valuable content was addressed first, while still maintaining fairness and transparency across all the news regions, so they knew why their stuff wasn't being done. Together, the collective information, metadata agreement, and prioritization provided a structured foundation that gave us confidence and enabled our logistics team and digitization workflows to operate effectively and at scale. Our logistics teams worked with the regional news areas to reduce disruption when assets moved between regional areas, storage locations, to the main digitization hub in London, the broadcast centre. It required careful coordination to avoid loss, damage, or disruption. The core enabler in managing this complex workflow was implementation of a comprehensive barcoding program. Each physical item needed and was assigned a unique barcode. Not all of them did. Creating a reliable identifier that could be tracked through every stage of the process. Barcoding supported inventory control and provided clear visibility of each item's status. through the process. Critically, barcodes were the link between the metadata records, ensuring continuity between the physical object and the resulting digital file. This gave everyone confidence between the source and the digital output. From a regional perspective, the logistics team had to be flexible enough to accommodate the differing local areas and workflows and how they would do things while still adhering to the process. Clear communication was really important, and the guys just tried to get the confidence of that digitization of those local teams so that they knew that if they needed something done as a fast track or if they needed to know where something was, they could instantly answer. Those are the big things that we tried to do. Now, I don't know how this video works, but I'll give it a go. This is our workflow. I forgot to mention that bit.
Why tomorrow's meeting with Yorkshire has taken on such extra significance.
Thank you. As Paul mentioned, this project is teamwork across BBC archives. Regional news libraries, curatorial and data teams, operations, logistics, and engineering all play a key part in the success of this project. Now, next I'm going to talk you through some of the processes we saw on this video and hopefully give you a better understanding of the of our digitization workflows. So prior to digitization, the selected assets are transferred to the broadcast center and they are barcoded. The barcodes are linked to the regional library reference number and transmission date, and this association is maintained throughout the process. The barcode drives the digitization, while the library reference number and transmission date are used to register the files in the news MAM later on. Each collection is also assigned a batch name, which identifies the region and the collection. And this batch name then drives prioritization and the delivery workflows during the workflow. All this information is stored in our database, and it supports two key processes. Firstly, physical asset tracking within our stock management system, but secondly, the creation of digitization requests. So these digitization requests act as placeholders for all the process metadata. So we can follow each asset throughout the journey, through every step of the journey, each individual asset and each batch throughout the journey. And before digitization, all assets are checked for physical damage. We check that the tape guards move freely and the tapes are fully rewound. And this triage identifies the majority of the problem tapes early on and ensures that the actual digitization process runs without too many disruptions. It's amazing how many tapes break at triage compared to what actually issues we have in the digitization area. And here's a high-level workflow diagram of this process. Some of these processes you saw on the video. So the digitization begins with the verification that the asset metadata matches the information stored in the placeholder. If there are any discrepancies, these are raised with the regional news libraries for investigation and resolution. Once verified that everything matches, an ingest job is triggered in the database. The ingest, as you saw, is barcode driven. The asset barcode is linked to the ingest channel and used as the file name. Each tape is ingested from start to finish to ensure all content is captured. We run up to 10 concurrent ingests, which are monitored by a technical operator who also carries out the tape changes. On completion, the files enter the transcoding workflow where an IMX50 MXF is generated and a file integrity check confirms compliance with specifications and the absence of any corruption. All digitized files get a 5-point eyeball QC, and any detected errors are compared against the source tape. If the source tape is clean, that triggers a reingest. If the errors are present on the source tape, then we log those with detail on the error and the relevant time codes, but we do not carry out any restoration on historic issues. QC serves two key purposes. As I mentioned before, it verifies that the file is a true representation of the source tape, and we haven't created any further issues during the transfer process, but also it helps to give us assurance that our upstream processes are working as expected, and it enables us to catch any issues upstream early on. After QC, the files move into the delivery workflow where they are prioritized and interleaved. They're uploaded into dual cloud and registered in the news MAM, making them accessible to users. We're now 9 months into the project and digitization continues at a good pace. We average approximately 800 tapes per month, depending on tape durations and conditions, and the film workflow processes around 400 reels per month. And the digitized content is already being actively used, demonstrating clear and immediate value. We also support fast-track requests and have delivered content to meet tight news deadlines. We keep a comprehensive audit trail of each asset throughout the process, and this includes things like the ingest channel and the deck used, the QC status, any historical issues identified, and timestamps for each process step. This data can be exported on an asset or batch level, giving us clear overview of the collection. So yeah, that's an example of the metadata, process metadata we collate. This is slightly redacted because some of the fields are not used for this project. So for some projects, we collect even more metadata. Having this audit trail gives us assurance that the tapes have been successfully transferred, and the data can also be used to support informed disposal decisions of the physical assets should we come to that point. We're not yet disposing of digitized assets, but having this audit trail gives us the option and assurance that we can consider this in the future. To date, approximately 6,000 videotapes and film reels have been digitized, including collections from Hull, Tunbridge Wells, Birmingham, London, and the Channel Islands, preserving and making accessible content that tells important local and national stories. We'll leave you with a selection of freshly digitized clips drawn from a wide range of collections. These include the opening of Spaghetti Junction, an interview with Tracy Emin, coverage of the build-up to the 2012 Olympics, and a few others. Together, these clips demonstrate the remarkable variety of the collections, from moments of significant cultural importance to some unexpected items that also form an integral part of the archive. Thank you.
Is this elocution? It sounds more like electrocution.
Garden. That's a willow tree. I think there's just two that grow in Hendon. It's like a special tree there.
And they certainly were. Celebrating tonight, the British Olympic Association still can't stop watching today's announcement. It seems it's still sinking in.
Well done. You did it very well.
It was built for motorcade which now may never take place. Above all, it's secure.
This final attention to detail is provided by Nottingham Braid. Now based in Derby, the company has the benefit of the Midlands' traditional weaving skills.
Welcome, Margaret. I've just been to the dentist, so I can't not do very well.
You've got to respect how people are. That's the point. Don't try and change and be all BBC talk. You know, all proper and all that.
He's a feathered fanatic with his football, and he spends most of the day out of his cage playing with the ball.
And the microcomputer in the corner is in regular use.
But if you're only as high as Mrs. Minnie Giles, life does have its problems. You see, Minnie is just 4'5".
What's it about the shop, is it? The tax goes so much. Well, then would like it.
Like every Battle of Flowers, there was plenty of singing and dancing, ranging from the traditional to the more futuristic.
Oh, it's lovely sport. I can't do seconds of them.
Of course, at the moment, you are literally the world record holder for the number of goals scored in a world tournament.
At the junction, we've introduced the...
They like the film. They got it. People in Margate got the film. The people in the whole of Britain can get the film.
Not a bad start to the new year, is it?
Thank you.
Any question? No? Sarah. Oh, Raji. We have time, right, Raji? No? For one question.
Yeah, hi. Thank you for the presentation. I was wondering, because you mentioned that in the criteria for digitization, there's like a curatorial one and a commercial one. And I was wondering, how do you define these criteria? And also, what's the difference between the two?
Were we in that meeting? I'm not sure. Essentially, it was, if you consider cultural importance, so the lady who said, "Don't talk like that, BBC," that was a story about how they're losing the language and accent and vocabulary of Kent. So that we felt that was highly important, but you probably couldn't sell it. Where the gentleman in the deck chair with the sheep, someone like Studios would probably like to use that, and other people would. And that's kind of how we looked at it. It was, could you sell it on, is it important for the local voices and BBC wide? The reality was that we felt that, like, what was the first one you did in tape-wise? Was it Channel Islands? So Channel Islands was really underrepresented in the archive as a whole. So like Midlands and other places in the UK, we had quite a bit, but Channel Islands we didn't have any, so we felt that was a really important collection. Was it DV-Cam as well? Yeah, so DV-Cam, dodgy. We haven't got a lot of Channel Islands, so that's why it was selected as one of the first ones. And relatively small, so we could test out the workflows and that. But it is, I suppose the easiest way to look at it is, if it's odd, and your one wasn't in there, was it? The Roman attack? No. If it was odd enough and quirky enough, we felt it could be sold by BBC Studios. If it's got cultural importance, like the losing of a language in the UK, that's probably not as saleable. So that was the balance we did.
We don't have time for more questions, but we have now a break. So if you want to make questions, please. And thank you to the speakers, Tobias, Michelle, Nathan, Dan, and Joanne and Paul. And take a coffee, please.